8. The decision that saved thousands. In May of 2023, I finally achieved a goal that had been sitting in my mind for years. I bought a duplex. Like many first-time rental property owners, I was excited, nervous, and full of questions. One of the biggest questions was whether I should hire a property management company. Everywhere I looked, people told me rental properties were stressful. They talked about midnight phone calls, difficult tenants, maintenance emergencies, and endless paperwork. It sounded overwhelming, so naturally, I contacted a few property management companies. Most of them charged close to 10% of the monthly rent. Some also charged leasing fees, inspection fees, maintenance coordination fees, and renewal fees. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that these costs could eat away a large portion of my cash flow. I started asking myself a simple question. If I own the property, why not at least try managing it myself first? At the beginning, I expected property management to feel like a second full-time job. I imagined hours of paperwork every week and constant calls from tenants. But after spending time researching, watching videos, and talking with other small landlords, I discovered that technology had changed everything. Modern property management software could handle most of the work automatically. The process that once required filing cabinets full of paperwork could now be completed with a few clicks. That realization completely changed my perspective. Many new investors focus heavily on buying the property but rarely think about operating it efficiently. Yet operating expenses determine how much money stays in your pocket. Every dollar saved is a dollar earned. For small landlords, especially those owning one duplex, one triplex, or a handful of units, learning basic property management can significantly improve returns. I decided to give myself 1 year to test whether self-management was realistic. Looking back, that decision became one of the most profitable choices I made as a rental property owner. The software that does most of the work. Once I committed to managing the duplex myself, I started searching for tools that would simplify the process. That's when I found property management software. The platform handled almost everything I needed. Tenant applications could be submitted online. Background checks were automated. Credit reports were available within minutes. Lease agreements could be signed electronically. Rent collection happened automatically through online payments. Tenants could even submit maintenance requests directly through the system. The software became my virtual property manager. Instead of answering phone calls all day, I could review information whenever it was convenient. If someone wanted to rent the property, they completed an application online. The system helped me review income, rental history, and credit information. Once approved, lease documents were generated electronically. There was no need to print stacks of paper or schedule multiple meetings. Rent collection became one of the easiest parts of ownership. Instead of waiting for checks, making bank deposits, or tracking cash payments, tenants paid online. The money arrived electronically, and records were stored automatically. At tax time, reports could be generated in minutes. What once required a filing cabinet now lived securely online. One of the biggest fears many people have about self-management is organization. They assume they'll lose track of leases, payments, or tenant information. In reality, software creates more organization than many traditional methods. Everything is stored in one place. Every communication, payment record, lease agreement, and maintenance request can be accessed whenever needed. Technology removed most of the complexity and allowed me to focus on the actual business of owning real estate rather than chasing paperwork. The truth about maintenance and tenant calls. Whenever people hear that I manage my own duplex, the first question is usually about maintenance emergencies. They imagine phones ringing all night and constant problems. The reality has been very different. Most maintenance issues are routine. A faucet leaks, a garbage disposal stops working, an appliance needs service. These aren't complicated problems. They're simply tasks that require a qualified professional. When a maintenance request arrives, I don't grab a toolbox and rush over. Instead, I contact a local professional. Plumbers handle plumbing, electricians handle electrical work, appliance technicians handle appliances. My job is not to become an expert in every repair. My job is to coordinate the repair. That usually takes a phone call or text message. Many landlords mistakenly think they need to perform every repair themselves. That's not true. Successful property owners learn how to delegate. The goal is to protect the asset while maintaining good relationships with tenants. Reliable contractors become valuable members of your team. Over time, you develop a network of trusted professionals who can solve problems quickly. The truth is that maintenance calls are much less frequent than most people imagine, especially when the property is newer and well maintained. Preventive maintenance reduces future issues. Regular inspections catch small problems before they become expensive disasters. By staying proactive rather than reactive, the property remains in good condition and tenant satisfaction stays high. One lesson I learned is that fear often exaggerates reality. Before becoming a landlord, I imagined constant emergencies. After becoming one, I realized that most days nothing happens at all. Rental property ownership is often far less dramatic than social media makes it seem. How I spend only a few hours per year. The biggest surprise of my self-management journey was discovering how little time it actually requires. During a typical year, I spend roughly 4 to 5 hours handling paperwork. Most of that involves reviewing documents, checking records, and updating files. Rent collection is automated, lease storage is automated, communication records are automated, technology handles the repetitive tasks. Once a year, I schedule a property inspection. This allows me to verify that the property is being maintained properly and identify any issues before they become expensive. The inspection usually takes less than an hour. Beyond that, I might visit the property 2 or 3 times annually to clean up the driveway, trim landscaping, or check exterior conditions. That's about it. When I compare those few hours of work to the thousands of dollars saved each year by avoiding management fees, the math becomes very attractive. For a small landlord, paying 10% of gross rent can add up quickly. Over 10 years, that money could total tens of thousands of dollars. Instead of paying those fees, I can use the savings to pay down debt, invest in another property, improve the existing property, or grow my net worth. Many people believe real estate is passive income. The truth is that rental property isn't completely passive, but it can become very close. With the right systems, the right software, and the right expectations, managing a small rental property can be surprisingly simple. My duplex taught me that ownership doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the best investment decision isn't buying another property. Sometimes it's learning how to operate the property you already own more efficiently. The biggest lesson from this journey is simple. Don't assume you need a property manager just because everyone else says you do. Learn the process, use modern technology, build a network of professionals, and evaluate whether self-management makes sense for your situation. You may discover, just like I did, that managing your own rental property is easier than you ever imagined.